Welcome back to the Second and Short podcast where the entire playbook is open. I'm Josiah.
I'm Christian.
I'm Hayden.
I'm Eli.
For those of you who like to listen to audio only, the link will be in the description. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to start with the trivia segment, and then we're going to do an audible and kind of see where it goes from there. So keep it fresh for you guys today. All right, so to start, our trivia question today is going to be based around age of players. Okay, so this kind of came to me based around the idea that Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski are the same age. It's just I think in the past couple of years, people started to realize this and the difference in our perspective of players and their ages. So the first one is actually the active NFL player with the most games started. So not really necessarily age, but it is an older player. So most games played by an active NFL player.
Julio.
Is it a kicker?
It is not a kicker.
I was going to say,
if I gave you the position, we'll give it away. So I'm not going to give you the position.
That was it.
Lyman.
Who's the?
Jason Peters.
It's not Jason Peters.
What?
Whitworth retired, right? Yeah, he's on NFL Network, right? Whitworth.
2 or 3, I think.
Yeah, Whitworth's on Prime, so it's
Prime.
It's a Lyman for sure.
I think it's a lineman.
It's not Trent Williams.
I can't believe there's been someone who's played more than Jason Peters. He's since 2004. That was Ben Roethlisberger's class.
Is it Will? No, it's not Williams. I feel like they said something about
It's not
Williams.
Kelsey. Kelsey's 2009. Are we right on the line?
It's almost a lineman.
All right,
Jimmy
so it's
Graham?
tight end. It's not Travis Kelce,
It's
is it?
not Travis Kelce.
Who's an older? Oh, Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes Lewis. You
Who's
want
number-
to take a crack at the number? How many games he started in his career? Or games played?
240.
264.
Jeez.
Yeah. Dude's been around forever.
You said Jason Peters came in at 2 or 3?
I'll look it up as I'm asking the next question, but I couldn't remember the exact position he had on there. But
I feel like Julio would be up there too.
yeah, because
Julio's 2011. I think Mercedes Lewis was 2005.
okay.
First rounder out of UCLA.
yeah.
Maybe Jimmy Graham.
See if I can find it. No, okay. All right. Anyway, so moving on to the next part of the question, I'm going to go down through some position groups. Then I'm going to ask you guys who the oldest active player is at that position. So, starting with quarterback,
Rodgers.
the oldest active quarterback is not Aaron Rodgers. He's not
Flacco?
currently active
Oh,
because he's still on IR.
Flacco at 38.
It is not Flacco.
really?
This guy is 38, but he's slightly older than Flacco.
Not.
I thought it said.
Oh no, that's
Like he's on the team.
5.
He is currently on the
active,
team.
So,
I was gonna say Kirk, but he's 35.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kirk was in the 2012 draft
not
with
Case
RG3.
Keenum.
Jimmy G's getting old.
not that. So, he's 38. Joe Flacco was drafted in 2008. No, Stafford's
I was
younger.
gonna say Stafford.
Stafford was 2009 draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2008.
But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Rob Gronkowski was drafted
Flynn's
in
still in the
10.
league.
Is not Andy
Matt
Dalton.
Flynn. Is he still in the league?
Because Rob Gronkowski was drafted in 2010. Travis Kelce was drafted in 2013, and they're the same age.
Yeah.
So drafts don't necessarily matter.
What?
Remember, Brandon Whedon was a 28-year-old rookie.
I feel like you just said, is it
Tough.
Blaine Gabbert?
It is not, but you're on the right track. The name is similar.
Blaine Gabbert.
There's not many.
The first letter of the first name.
Blaine Babbert.
The first letter of the first name is correct.
So it starts with a B.
Ben Barry.
Bortles retired.
Ben
You're close. It's a very common name.
Blake Benjamin.
Brian.
Yep.
Bob.
Oh, Brian Hoyer.
Brian Hoyer.
Good one. Good
Brian.
Well, I didn't pull it. Yeah,
you
you
did.
way too many hits.
Brian Hoyer is 38. Aaron Rodgers
easily.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been.
Aaron
able to.
Rodgers
He's
is
on
40,
active.
but he's not
active.
currently
Good
active
trade.
because he's on IR.
Smart.
Apparently coming off soon. But halfback, so running back. Who's the oldest running back in
At 25 years old.
Not.
We just made a
I was
TikTok
surprised.
about it. Was it Raheem Mostert?
It is not.
Okay.
Oh,
Active. It could be just some old bruiser.
Do you want his age?
Yeah.
33.
35.
Fournette.
Ooh, wow.
I knew this name. I didn't know he was this old. I did not
Wow.
know he was this
Oh,
old.
Latavius Murray.
It is not. Latavius
I was
Murray
thinking
ranks.
about that.
He's in like 3, I think.
35-year-old running back.
Like decent
Fournette.
still or no?
And that's like 30, 20.
But he's active. So
Fournette aged quickly. But he wasn't drafted all that long ago.
2017.
It's got to be some. I'd be shocked if he wasn't a big dude.
He's not a household name by any means, but if you watch football pretty religiously, you would know his name for sure.
It's not Cordero Patterson.
His first name is a name of a country.
Jordan.
No, but that's a good pull.
Pennsylvania.
That's not a country.
Started running.
His last name is Jones.
Aaron. Taiwan Jones.
Taiwan Jones.
Oh my god.
Taiwan Jones is 35.
He's still in the league.
Yeah.
He's 35 years old. Isn't that wild?
Who's
He's
he
on the
playing
Bills.
for?
I'll look it up.
He's on the Bills.
Is he on the Bills? Yeah.
Because he went to Texans
How's
and
he
then he went to
active?
Buffalo.
Jeez.
Because I was shocked he was still playing. Because they used him a decent chunk
Djibouti
still,
Jackson.
Yeah. All right. Wide receiver.
Germany.
Julio.
Randall Cobb.
Ooh.
This guy, you don't think of him as a wide receiver, but that's his
Cordero
position.
Patterson.
Think special teams.
Oh, Matthew Slater.
Matthew Slater's 38 years
Hall
old.
of Famer.
Wow.
Hall of Famer.
I mean, yeah, seems like it.
30.
O-line.
About tight end.
Alliance Peters.
yeah, I would
Yeah,
go Peters.
Yep. Tight end.
Kelsey.
Nope.
Mercedes Lewis.
Mercedes Lewis. That's the reason I skipped over tight end. Jason Peters, 41. Mercedes Lewis, 39. And just to throw these out there, punter.
They're really old.
What's that guy's last?
Oh, Hecker?
It's the dudes that starts with a W.
Are you talking about the Niners punter,
Oh,
Wisnowski?
Maybe.
it's
He's
the
young,
Saints
though.
old
Yeah.
punter, right?
Correct.
Morstead.
Yeah,
Thomas
Morstead.
Morstead, 37. And kicker. Place kicker.
Nick Folk.
He's second.
Robbie Gold just retired. Shout out.
Mason Crosby.
Mason Crosby, no. It's close with him too.
Matt Prater.
Matt Prater, 39.
Still bombing 60-yarders.
Dude. Ageless wonder. Speaking of kickers, did you guys see Dallas kicker?
Yeah,
Man,
Aubrey.
smooth.
Soccer
His
player.
kicks are absolutely
It sucks that
smooth.
I already decided my
he's
future.
28 already.
My future children are gonna be soccer players, and then once they hit the high school age, I'm gonna transition.
Dude,
them
you're not
going to
be able to stand watching youth soccer. You know it. You're going to have them in tackle
We're
football
gonna
right
drill.
away.
We're
No,
gonna
you
drill
can't.
it
Yeah.
into him. He's gonna become a place kicker. Her. We
Yeah.
can have the first female kicker.
You're really.
See, the
you're-
thing is, you said like
You're gonna have your
it sucks that
kid
he's
playing
28. It's
tackle
like, kickers play till they're 39. If they can get 11 years out of him,
Kicker's one of the positions where like you can draft them really late.
that's what I'm saying. Is like they could still get 10 years out of him if he can stay consistent. Like,
Maybe more.
It's all mental.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Luke, take it away if you're audible.
All right, first one, going off of the Chiefs game, and there was Mahomes is mad about the call. Maybe even going to the Steelers Patriots game with the offsides call, or it should have been an offsides call. Should something be done about these bad calls? Should refs be fined? Should New York have more control over their decisions? Do you guys have anything to say about like bad calls? And
New York should be in control. They should have someone like for every game watching to see if it's a bad call or not, and just intervening like that's not a call. Like they should be watching and doing that. Refs have been horrible this year.
I agree that refs are terrible and there needs to be some level of accountability, but I don't necessarily think that slowing the game down even more is going to solve anything. It's honestly just going to make it almost unwatchable with how much they're going to have to slow the game down with constantly making calls. It's like sometimes we complain about 5 flags and a half.
What are you going to be more pissed about though? Game slowing down and being right,
look
or
at the past 2 years when games have been determined. Like the Chiefs had so many going in their favor recently, and then they don't get one, and Mahomes is a little.
I think the officiating is bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this might be a hot take, but I don't like. It's an issue. Don't get me wrong, that needs to be addressed. But I don't think it's as big of an issue as people realize, or as people think. I feel like the best team still wins the game. I feel like. I think of weird things happen in games. I think the Cardinals-Steelers game is a good example of that with the weather delay. Things just happen, and then which team can overcome that adversity wins the game. The Dolphins and the Titans, same thing. Titans overcame the adversity. I just view bad calls as adversity that teams face.
I don't I don't think that's the way to go fully in New York. I think that there's some calls that maybe they do in New York like they tried to do with pass interference. Now that they have kind of that expedited system with like if they call a strip fumble and they're like, we've changed the play like within the 5 seconds. I think like face mask, I don't see why that shouldn't be like if you miss a face mask, someone in New York is easily on
Horse
that.
collar or
right?
some
Horse
stuff,
collar, like stuff that is so that isn't
Look at that Tyreek horse call yesterday. Didn't get called. That,
I don't know.
that
Did he
was-
grab? Was he in his pads?
That was
I
a
think
horse
so.
collar,
Really?
dude. That was.
I think
that
the
was-
hand
It was
went
like low key
inside.
not in his
Tyreek
pads.
didn't
I'm not
tear
saying
it
it wasn't a
down.
dirty tackle,
I'm
but I
surprised
don't think it
Tyreek
was the most obvious horse
Right,
collar
I don't think
tackle.
it's a
It looked like it
not to
was
get back to the
towards-
Nick Chubb
yeah.
Minka. It wasn't a dirty
No, I'm not-
tackle,
I
but
don't
it's
think
a
it was
horse
dirty.
I'm not saying he
collar.
did it on
Horse collar
purpose.
needs to be called.
It's a horse
How do you
collar,
miss
though.
that?
But I wouldn't say that's like, oh my goodness, that's an egregious horse
I
collar.
just
I think he
think-
was barely in his
I
pads.
just
if at
think
all.
New York needs to come in like last year with the Super Bowl with the holding call. Like I feel like that there cannot be a ref's decision. That has to be someone higher.
There are
up there.
subjective calls like pass interference that it's like they tried it. I think it's so hard. But the objective calls like face mask.
I think those, but especially in game time decisions like that, like the one against the Chiefs, like yes, that was obviously an offsides, and no one like is really arguing with the Chiefs about it and Chiefs fans. But
one ref's hold isn't another ref's hold.
I just think that
One
New York just
ref's
stepped in
face
there.
mask is another ref's face mask. One ref's hold I wouldn't say is necessarily, and same thing with pass interference.
And see, my issue with the play that happened in the Chiefs play isn't actually the Kadarius Toney one because that's pretty cut and dry. Like he is offsides.
Yeah.
But then you watch the very next play, and Von Miller jumps very clearly offsides and doesn't get called for it. It's so for me, it's the inconsistency in the calls. It's like they make a call, and then the next play they don't make the same call over again when it's very clearly
it's like they're trying to make it
foul.
even, which
yeah. And then like they call Joey Porter Jr. for pass interference and holding all the time, but never call Sauce Gardner for it.
I'm fine
And,
with more
they both do.
accountability.
Joey Porter, I see the face you're making. Joey Porter holds all the time, but Sauce holds every single play. Like
I'm fine with more accountability in like press conferences and stuff, but I wouldn't go as
I don't
far
think
as to say
finding them is
finding
going
them.
to make it
and-
do. It's just going to make them more scared to call plays
Yeah.
or anything.
And it's
in the game.
they're doing their job. They shouldn't get fined for.
No.
I don't think they should get fined. I really do think New York should be involved in those big time decisions, even if it's
So what do you
clear-
mean by big time decision? Like you can't say, all right, last 2 minutes
It's
we're
very
doing
subjective.
right.
like the last 2 minutes.
So the
What
last 2
happened-
minutes
What
you
happened
can't
with
go
the
to New
Chiefs
York?
game on Sunday? That was
So if there's an offsides with 2:01, then it doesn't get reviewed.
I would say last 5 minutes then.
So 5:01 doesn't get reviewed.
I would say
It was subjective.
it's I think it's so.
I would
tough
say
to-
2-minute warning if they were to do something.
maybe like
that would be
playoffs.
To
good.
tell you the truth, even though I get annoyed with all the flags that they call right away, I don't care. I would much rather them review it, even if it's stupid.
What if they just do
So
it
you would rather
playoffs?
have the game slow down?
Yes, I don't care.
so what about hurry up offense then? Because that eliminates
That
hurry up
sucks.
offense
That
because
sucks.
you can't go down the field and run a play quickly because you have to wait for the.
So are they
That sucks.
reviewing the penalty? Like they're pausing it and being like the last play is under review for a penalty, or is it like one of those expedited ones?
I think that if it's very clear one that New York should come in and step in, I think it's New York telling them stop the game. That's a flag right there. Call it.
I think it's so hard on some
I
of
could
those
care
penalties.
less. I could care less if it goes slow. I don't care.
I think maybe they should intervene when there's a bad call, but they can't intervene when there's a no call. That would be too.
What if there's
because-
an egregious face mask?
Yeah, well,
That
Well,
is-
there's
That's what
a-
I mean. That's
well,
it.
well, there's an egregious
That's where I'm
holding call.
fine
The
doing
thing
it.
that I'm going back to, Jets Chiefs. There's a clear holding on Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine's just like this the whole time. The guy's literally just grabbing him like this. And
How is he
look at
like?
the
How
ref.
is he
that's
like?
called every play too.
I'm not.
but
look at
it's
the video.
hard. It's I don't know. It's so
I think
hard
it's
and
stupid.
subjective holding calls.
That holding
you
call
mentioned-
again in the Super Bowl, that should be a New York call there. Like, and if New York makes a decision that it is,
I like how it's like
then
New
I'll let it
York.
go.
Like you're right, but it's like funny how we just refer to like a
But
ref
like,
watching as
if
New York.
New York called it holding or pass interference, was it pass interference? Right? They didn't change it to a holding. It was just pass interference.
For which play?
in the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl last year.
pass
It was
interference,
pass
okay.
interference. If
Well,
they,
then- now I feel like it was holding. Yeah,
it was holding. I
It was
didn't know.
holding. And it clearly was a hold.
forgot.
By the
It
way.
was a hold.
It was
but,
very much a hold.
but I feel, or even if it like they call it interference instead of holding, like change it to a holding at least. But like I think New York there, you need to step in, and then if they say it is, then it is. I would. If New York comes in, then I would.
There's going to be
it
like
sucks, but
a
it's
thousand.
what it
So if on pass interferences or no call pass interferences, where the ball's coming in, the DB like shoves them like that split second early, and then it hits off the receiver's hands. Should that be pass interference every time? Even if the DB's like a split second early tackling him, and then the ball hits the hand. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? There's
that's
those
early.
like bang
That
bang.
means they're early. That's-
so there's going to be
that's
a million
interference.
pass interference calls because that happens like every single drive. I don't think that should be pass interference.
You know what everybody says the solution to the ref dilemma is? Hiring full-time refs. These guys are well-paid lawyers. They have other professions that they do during the off season. This is honestly
Yeah,
a
it should
side
be a
hustle.
full-time job.
Well, granted, it's a well-paid side hustle, but also if the NFL wants to fix it, a lot of people think they need to bring them in full-time. They need to have
the money
off
for it.
It's
season.
like the
as well.
crazy training for it.
Yeah.
We'll see if that actually happens or not. Like I said, I don't.
I feel like
It's an issue, but at the same time, I still
Like,
feel like the
I-
results are
I think there's bigger
reflecting who
issues
the
in the
actual-
I
game
know, like
than
the
the refs.
defensive roughing the passer is like crazy, like it's horrible. Like that should be. I don't care if it slows the game down. Like if it's stupid, like a little push,
Yeah.
like they call. I forget who
It's
they call it on.
forcible contact.
They
to the
called
head
one
and
on
neck
CJ
is
Stroud
such
last
a-
week. It was just a little push, like there's
driving
just-
your body weight.
It's such
into
a subjective
I was
thing
gonna say
to judge. It's such a subject. And to be fair, there are certain ones that are absolutely they are rough.
Like even if it's like a rough like hit in the head,
like
helmet,
if I
helmet, like I get that. That's the rule.
yeah,
like,
if I
there.
come up and I like have my hand up and I hit the side of Christian's face mask, like that's a roughing the passer. Like that's not that.
I care more.
especially if you're pushed into it, like
That's-
that happens like
yeah,
all the
like,
time. And then
The
they call
roughing
it.
the passer when the quarterback gets the ball out stinks, but what aggravates me more than that is when sacks get taken away due to a roughing the passer. Like TJ, I think that's happened. I'm sure other players. To me, like, don't get me wrong, it's egregious either way. But when somebody gets a sack and then it's rescinded from their stats, not only does that affect the game, sacks and big time plays are how defensive players are kind of evaluated, which kind of look at Deron Bland with the interceptions. Players can have a lot of sacks and a lot of interceptions. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're elite at their position, but that's how they're going to get paid by having a double digit sack season. If I'm an undrafted guy and I have 5 sacks in a season versus 3, that's a big difference. If I have 5 sacks, that means that I'm going to start to build a name. I'm going to get an opportunity to play more. 3 sacks, it's just like, oh, he's a good backup rotational piece.
Last thing I want to say on this is no matter what they do, I think they need to stop fining players for talking crap
Like
on the
Jalen.
reps. Like who
Agreed.
cares? Like what's that going to do? Like
if they suck,
This is like
It
it's
gives
so
off
soft.
such like a dystopian like
Right.
dictatorship.
It's like it's- I don't want to say freedom.
Are like
Yeah.
wearing different cleats whenever.
Yeah.
all
And
fines
that's
are
my-
stupid. Like the one with running backs blocking. What do you want to do if they're just standing still like that and the defense is running? into
Dirty
it?
hits I'm fine
Like,
with,
that's
but like
stupid.
if they're saying something in the press conference, like dude, who cares?
But, like,
if they're
all-
And that goes
all
to,
the
and that goes
fines
to
that
my
they're-
final thought is that like there has to be some level of accountability. You talked on it. It's like where's the motivation for these refs to be kept accountable? Because it can't come from the players or the coaches in the press conferences. It's not coming from the league in any sort. Like if they make them full-time employees, then they could. But like, where's the motivation for these refs to improve?
Right.
There is none
It's
because
only
there's
like
no
the
level of
talk
accountability.
shows.
It's never going to improve unless they bring some kind of accountability. And right now, they're not making any
And
efforts
what
to
bugs
bring
me
accountability.
more is when we have like the former refs on the TV say that's a dumb call, like that's completely the other
Or
way.
New York when they completely disagree with their like the rules analyst is like, guys, like that was a like this should be coming back or that should be a touchdown or should.
Like
Yeah,
like the
that's-
Steelers with the catch that McBride made. That is a catch. That's what happened to
Or the
Deontay last week. That's a
offsides
catch.
call,
Like
or the
y'all
false
just
start.
contradicted yourself. That's stupid.
That false start call on Pittsburgh Thursday night.
Yeah, like every punter does. I mean, me and Dad were joking yesterday when the Dolphins guy was moving his head like that. Like every guy does that.
Moving your head isn't false start.
But that's what they were calling it for because
if you're a center, I think your head can be considered a false start because if you snap your head up too quickly,
That's
It has to be
simulates
like a fluid motion.
Yeah.
It's almost like that. Remember when Kyler used to get called in preseason for clapping his hands?
Yeah.
For a false start. That was hilarious.
Well, defenses can get called for simulating a snap too. It just happened to was it the Bills?
Yeah.
Because they're no, it was the Dolphins.
like,
Somebody-
yes,
yeah,
their
against
line
last night,
shifts.
yeah.
and they
Like you're allowed to shift,
Yeah.
but I don't think you're allowed to like move. You're not allowed to simulate a
sudden,
rush.
like yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's not even if you don't cross the line, it can still be a simulated. I think it's called delay. I think they call it
They
delay.
call it
yeah,
a delay
called it a
game,
delay
actually.
game.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And same thing with like faking, like just saying hike or.
All right. Well, I'm going to intervene again here. Omaha, Hall of Fame honorable mentions. Who should be in that's not?
I'm not going to be very good at this.
You guys were.
I mean-
you guys before the show were like talking like he should be in the Hall of Fame. Blah, blah, blah. Like,
Torrey Holt. I mean, I know
The
people
receiver
say it, like,
backlog
yeah,
is
there's so many
insane.
receivers out there. I think Torrey Holt's the number one on that list, to be honest with you. But I mean, there's an argument there to
I
be
think there should be
had.
more kickers and punters in it.
Yes.
I feel like they're
I think
going to
there's
be
more kickers than punters, but there's a lot of good kickers.
The only kicker that I think that's not in, that should be in, that's eligible right now would be Gary Anderson. But even him, he has those very infamous kicks in the late 90s that sent the Vikings home. I think he also had another couple of big misses, so he wasn't very clutch. Vinatieri's going to go in first ballot. Tucker probably is going to go in first ballot. I don't have a problem. I would say Matthew Slater's one. And who is the Bills gunner during the 90s also? I'll look up his name, but those are two special teamers. It's even hard. They're not returners. They're not kickers. They're not punters. They're gunners.
Yeah.
That's like the least recognized position on the team. Those are guys who made multiple Pro Bowls that aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I mean, it just recently happened. I would throw out Jimmy Johnson, but he just recently, I think it did just happen, didn't it?
I think that was
it
a
last
year
year?
or 2 years ago.
Yeah. So,
The wide receiver, I mean, we could go on. Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, Hines Ward,
yeah.
Wes Welker, I think, is close. Running backs, Fred Taylor.
Yeah.
So
Is Romo going to be in the Hall of Fame as a player?
Probably not.
No.
probably not. I feel like he has a case, but not. I'm gonna die on the Joe Flacco. I think Joe Flacco's the fourth greatest postseason quarterback of all time, behind Mahomes, Brady, and Montana. The stats are there. He's a Super Bowl MVP, but he doesn't have a Pro Bowl. I would put him in. I think his numbers compare very well to a Warren Moon per se.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this before the show started when we were talking a little bit about Hall of Fame players, but like the amount of players in the NFL Hall of Fame is a very small number. Like there's only 22 wide receivers. There's only 9 tight ends.
And people think that number is too inclusive already. We've heard
Right.
Deion Sanders talk about how it minimizes his accomplishments and how he's actually advocated for a elite section of the Hall of Fame where you're in the Hall of Fame of the Hall of Fame. That's something, and those players would only be decided by players that are in that room. It would be like a Deion Sanders, a Jerry Rice, Barry Sanders, Tom Brady. Like that's it. You're not going to have a guy like Warren Moon who has a pretty good Hall of Fame case, but also if you look at him against Tom Brady or Joe Montana or Dan Marino, he's not really legendary. So I think it would be a good way to reward players who have good careers while also making sure there is a separation, because Deion Sanders is one of the greatest athletes of all time, arguably the best. He shouldn't be in the same grouping as some of the other players that have made the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at this list, like it looks like there are, all right, so there are over 25,000 players who have ever played in the NFL. How many do we think are total in the Hall of Fame?
So 22 receivers, 9 tight ends. I'll go with just under 200.
222.
It's a little higher. It's 371. So out of over 25,000, 371 players have
Is that-
ever made
is
it into
that-
the Hall.
Wow.
Is that list just players, or does that include coaches and owners and
This
contributors,
is
general
on
managers?
ProFootballHallOfFame.com. It says players, and then in parentheses says 371. So players, there are 371.
So there's
of them.
340 guys, non-receiver tight ends. It's a good bit. That's
Yeah.
more than I thought there'd be.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure we've talked about doing a episode on this before, but like players in the NFL right now that people say are Hall of Famers, are they going to make it or not? Like, but I mean, there's an argument that there's not many players in the NFL right now that are actually going to be in the Hall of Fame, even if the numbers justify it.
No, and I think that if all the players that we do think deserve a spot in Canton get it, I think an interesting one is Deshaun Jackson, because he has crazy moments. He has the stats, but he doesn't have a Super Bowl. He only has a few Pro Bowls. It's going to be interesting to see these guys. They all have cases. And then what happens is some of them get in just because you're like, all right, well, if this person got in, his numbers are technically better than him. And then instead of having neither one of them really should be in the Hall of Fame, despite what we think, they both get in the Hall of Fame, which has led to the Deion Sanders of the world kind of just being a little iffy with it.
Yeah. Yeah. The best explanation I ever heard, I think, for Hall of Fame induction is sorry, that word sounded weird when I said it out loud.
Said it right, I think.
Yeah, it's like, can you tell the story of the NFL without this player? And if you can tell the story of the NFL without the player, then they don't deserve the Hall of Fame.
I don't know. That's a tight.
That gets
It's subjective. It's so subjective.
yeah, because the story of the NFL for me and Josie is much different than Eli's, who's more of a college
Like,
football
right.
centric.
Can you tell the story of the NFL without Arnie Herber, quarterback?
Probably not.
Well, does that say 1920 to 1929?
1930, 1940.
Yeah,
Like,
probably not. I mean,
but
from
then
our
also,
perspective,
so
like, you
100
can't
years,
tell it.
100
Or
years
Ernie
from now,
Nevers,
hopefully the NFL's around.
Yeah.
But
Could be one of your
100 years from now, is Tom Brady relevant?
Ernie Nevers.
Like,
He's a fullback.
is
But,
he?
but the argument was for Eli Manning. It's like he beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl twice.
Eli should be in.
That's the argument. Is that like you can't tell the story of the
he's
NFL without
500
Eli Manning.
He has
being
a
in it.
500 record.
I agree. Look, listen.
But then they let Joe Namath in. Joe Namath had
Ben
a losing
Roethlisberger is
record.
easily the best quarterback from that draft. But like
Yeah.
when you look at it, it's like Eli probably has more of a story in the NFL than Ben does.
As hard as that is for me to admit, I would agree.
Yeah.
Ben, youngest quarterback to win the Super Bowl as well. Like he's got some Super Bowl stuff.
Yeah,
I think Russell surpassed that.
No, it's still Ben. 23.
it's
23.
hold on, sorry. Sean McVay took the youngest head coach
Yeah.
from Tomlin. I think Ben is still the youngest starting quarterback to win the Super Bowl. Because Tomlin, then
23
won,
years old and 340 days.
is
Ben.
Ben, yeah, and that's the youngest.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
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 And that was in the second year.
Correct.
Yeah.
2005. But
All right. This one's more of a trivia. There is only one team logo in the NFL that faces left. What is it?
Seahawks,
No.
That was a good guess.
Baltimore faces
Falcons.
No.
On the right.
ooh, Falcons does face left. What?
You guys are on the right track with all three.
All right, so it's
Panthers?
a bird.
So it's a bird.
Oh, you said Panthers? You said yes.
It's
Oh, you said no.
Eagles.
Okay.
Bird.
Eagles.
Oh, it is. Yeah, the eagle does definitely
I'm looking
face
up
left.
the Eagles logo right now.
It does.
Oh
It
my-
goes.
It's so hard to think. Yeah, because it's also tilted. I've noticed that when like making graphics, like
Yeah.
it's not like a straight.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of.
Yeah.
But
Interesting. Yeah.
That was a quick, short one.
Yeah. Like you. For those of you who've never seen Luke on camera, he's 4'6".
Oh,
So-
yeah, sure. Yeah, Josie, I'm taller than you.
He's-
I'll stand up right
he's balding, has no hair at
Yeah.
all.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, we got
Luke's-
some fresh cuts to talk about. Christian, take the hat off.
That looks good.
Look at that after the gym.
Yes,
doesn't.
sir.
Oh,
Looks fire.
thirst trap
sir.
over here.
Josie.
Said Josie with the buzz.
Buzz Lightyear.
I'm not taking my hat
That
off.
was embarrassing.
I'm not taking it
Said
off.
never
You
doing
might
that
pull some
again.
Yeah, my hat's staying on.
Top 3 non-home team favorite players. Shout out Josie for the
We doing offense and defense, right?
yeah.
For those who don't know, me, Josie, and Christian, diehard Steelers fans. Eli's a Browns fan.
/ Penn State alumni fan.
Yes.
I mean, I'll go first if you
Yeah,
want.
I mean, we're gonna obviously miss players, so
You guys
just
want to do
go
me
top
in
here.
order or just no?
I'll do an order. Yeah, I'll do mine in order. So my number 1 is Adrian Peterson. He's always one of my favorite players to watch. Just his mix.
Number
of-
2, Ray Rice.
Number 3, Josh Giddey. I mean, no.
This got off track.
Yeah, his combination of strength and breakaway speed, and even some of his elusiveness. Like, say what you want about off the field stuff. On the field, Adrian Peterson is one of the best running backs to ever play the game of football.
For sure.
Like the fact that in his rookie season as a 22-year-old, he went for 296 yards in his rookie season
And he was
on a terrible team.
and he
Like
was, what, 20 yards away from breaking the all-time rushing record for the season.
it was less than that. It was like
8.
it was like 5'3", something like that. He was very close. He was within 10 yards of breaking
Broke
the
it in the
all-time record.
playoffs, but that doesn't.
Yeah. So, I mean, Adrian Peterson is easy number 1 for me. The other 2 are defensive players. First one is DeMarcus Ware. As much as I didn't like the Cowboys, DeMarcus Ware was always so much fun to watch, whether it was with the Cowboys or the Broncos. And then number 3 is Patrick Willis. So always been. I'm not a Niners fan, but if I had to choose an NFC team, I'd probably say the Niners. And part of that reason is because of Patrick Willis. Again, a combination of strength, tackling, some coverage ability. Career that was way too short, but is probably one of those borderline Hall of Fame guys, even in the 9 seasons he played.
Patrick Willis was only 8, I believe.
Yeah.
It was 7 or 8. It was not.
And those 8 were just like top notch.
Pro Bowl every single year, all pro, like 5 of them, I think. So,
My number one's is recent guy is Tyreek Hill for me, but that's also just because I feel like he changed the game for a receiver. Like, and I also feel like he proved that he can carry a team on his back, and he's like the one player other than like AB that one year where we're like MVP, and he actually might get it because we saw yesterday they were nothing without Tyreek.
no.
They couldn't do crap without him.
So bad.
Which kind of is sad because I love Mike McDaniels, but like, dude, you gotta solve that. You can't just have it around one player. Second one is gonna hurt because I'm a Steelers fan, but Ray Lewis, dude, is scary.
I thought he was actually going to go Ray Rice. I heard, right?
No,
Ray Rice was good. Like
People,
take
no,
the-
he
he's a
was
monster.
insane.
Yeah, he was so good.
We've
I
got
remember
2 convicts so far on this, right? Ray Lewis and Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson's not a convict.
Yeah, I don't
He
Beat his
abused.
kid.
are you really gonna argue that he's not called? He's
No,
he
I'm
convict
not
is a
saying that what he
fact,
did
it's
was
not-
right. I'm saying is everybody in the South hits their kid with a
Okay, well,
switch.
Ray Lewis.
Okay, that's not what I was saying.
Ray
saying
Lewis
it's
technically
right.
isn't a convict, but he did murder a guy. But he's technically not a convict because he didn't go to
people.
jail.
Oh, you're so. I can't wait to hear your 3.
Aaron
Yeah,
I
Hernandez.
can't wait to hear your 3. Yeah, shut up.
Free Hernandez.
3's kind of hard for me.
Henry Ruggs.
Henry. Ooh, nice.
He's fast.
Yeah, his speed.
It's almost
one's-
dangerous how fast.
Bro, shut the hell up. Let me talk. The third one is kind of tough in between Ed Reed
And
and
OJ Simpson.
Man, 2 Ravens.
But all right,
Brother.
here. I'm gonna,
Ed Reed's
it
a
sucks,
fun
but they're
Brian
amazing.
Dawkins.
Ed Reed's up
Dawkins,
there.
I was
Dawkins
thinking
is a
about.
good pick.
I get to choose a Steeler,
I
so
just had it in my head. Now
Sure.
I
I have a fun Steeler.
James.
Shoot, who was it? You just made me lose the guy.
What position?
I think he was off. Oh, it was gonna be Gronkowski.
Good
Gronk.
pick.
Even though I hated him because obviously Patriots, but he was unstoppable.
Man, that arm brace. Notorious. Infamous. When you saw the arm brace coming at you, man, you knew it was over.
Oh, Peyton Manning was fun to watch too.
What
Peyton
was-
Manning, I loved a lot.
He think he did something to the tendons or the ligaments in his elbow.
Gronk.
Yeah.
I mean,
Didn't,
he has no knees
JJ
or
Watt-
elbows.
No, the
or
arm brace.
I know.
JJ
but no knees or elbows or shoulder. He's
JJ Watt had an arm brace too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting fact about arm braces. The Cowboys left tackle, Tyron Smith, the arm brace that he wears, or used to wear at least, was actually a knee brace because none of the
Yeah.
arm
oh,
braces
yeah, 'cause
fit
his
him.
arm was so big.
His arm is so big and long that none of the arm braces fit him. So he wore like an ACL knee brace.
I have
on
that
his arm.
problem too.
Could you imagine being that big?
All right, actually, never mind. I changed.
What do you mean
I changed
imagine?
my last one to Drew Brees. Him breaking some of those records at the end of his career was just fun to watch. That was cool. So much.
3 quarterbacks came to mind right away. I'm not going to do that just because I feel like that's kind of a boring thing. But quick shout out to Joe Flacco, Alex Smith, and Big Nick Foles. My 3 are going to go Wes Welker staying on the Patriots trend. He really kind of ignited that slot receiver role, especially in the Josh McDaniels, Bill O'Brien offense.
Which team was your favorite to watch him on?
Oh, I mean, Patriots, it was like when I was early on, but
He was-
I
he
never
was
saw
fun
him
with
on the
Broncos.
Chargers or Dolphins. And then Denver, I saw him at the very end. So the Rams, actually, his
I
last
was
year
gonna
with
say,
19
I was gonna say, I
catches
thought he was
was
with the Rams. Who was the other Rams guy that slot?
Tavon.
Stedman Bailey. Stedman Bailey got
You
shot
keep
in the
going.
head.
You keep going.
Why was it so messed up?
Said that so matter of fact. He got shot in the head.
No, they were never teammates. He was there the year after Wes Welker left the Broncos. Owen Daniels was dangerous for the Texans. Had a decent
Ravens.
year with Baltimore, and then finished
Broncos.
up with Denver, winning the Super Bowl with Peyton. He was probably the second greatest player that year to retire from that team. And then my third player is an active one, Harrison Smith, the strong safety for the Vikings.
And then be honest of who your favorite player is of all time, regardless of Steelers or not. Brady.
Yeah, probably Brady. Heath Miller was really my favorite growing up.
Yes, sir.
And then Big Ben also. But yeah, Brady probably.
So I'm gonna start with an honorable mention.
Deshaun Watson. It's probably your favorite guy. Yeah.
Nope, I can't choose Browns.
Otherwise,
But you guys will remember it was a punter for the Raiders.
stupid rule.
Marquette King.
Yeah, Marquette King was like
Okay.
one of my favorite
Are
guys.
you gonna have an all special teams
Say
list?
why-
Are
say
you
why,
gonna?
though?
Because he was just an electric punter when he would like do those like flag dances.
Oh,
whenever
shout
they
out
would
Pat
throw a flag.
McAfee too. Then. That's true.
Saved ESPN.
Yeah.
Don't disagree.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another day. Number one, I'm gonna go with number
Wait,
one.
so Marquette King isn't?
He's an honorable mention. He's
Okay,
just,
okay,
I love
fair.
him, but I'm not gonna put him in my top three. Two guys, like I'm just gonna put a slash in between because I like them for the same reasons. Maurice Jones-Drew and Darren Sproles, just because they're like short, huge running backs who are explosive.
Wasn't Darren McFadden tall?
Darren Sproles?
Oh, I thought you said Darren.
No.
My bad.
But they're just so explosive. Maybe I did. I don't know. Number two, Justin Tuck. He was just. I was a Giants fan when I was younger because I ended up being a bandwagon because the Browns suck so bad, and I liked when the Giants would beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So I loved watching him on the line. And then, shoot, who was my number three? Who did I have?
Was it a Penn Stater? You haven't named one.
But
Penn
I
Stater
wanted
yet.
to like Saquon, obviously. But like I want to and like Bowman, but I want to
Trace
stay away.
McSorley.
I want to stay away
Sean
from Penn
Lee,
Staters.
Paul
I don't
Posluszny.
know.
Bro, you love Sean Lee, dude.
I know. but,
Jesse
like,
James.
I mean, I could. All right, then those guys are my
Joey
third guy.
Porter.
Like any Penn Stater, because I root for Penn State guys more than I do the Browns.
All those guys that we just named out, Hall of Famer. Shoo-ins.
Shoot it.
Shoo-ins.
All right, this is going to take a dark turn.
As if it wasn't already dark.
It's kind of open ended. What should be done about Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff for?
That's a dark turn. We were literally talking about like convicts and death, and he's like, so the Steelers.
Okay, not a dark turn, but this is going to get ugly. Like you guys are probably going to have disagreeing opinions, I'd imagine, and I don't know.
I think if Tomlin has another year like this next year, he's definitely on the hot seat, or he might be gone. I like him. Part of me doesn't. I don't want to get rid of him. Part of me's like the teams that do just need fresh starts, and he does, and
Oh.
him too. So that might be the case there for
Hold
us.
on, Eli came up with this player.
It was a Steeler. I mentioned it. Troy Polamalu. I loved watching Troy
yes.
I
Polamalu.
thought you were
It was
gonna
so
say
fun.
T.J. Watt.
I used to do like Madden fantasy drafts, and
Dude,
like
Troy number one.
I would draft Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu with my first two picks. and just
Amateur
have
hour.
fun
You
with
go
them.
edge rushers. Alden Smith, J.J. Watt. Those were the
I
guys.
just like playing safeties with Ed Reed and Polamalu. But yeah, sorry. Steelers
Mike
staff.
Tomlin.
I don't want him to go, but we might have to. If we really don't get a good OC, then yeah, I don't. It's stupid. Like, and part of me, yes, it's Art Rooney making decisions. He should like. I mean, at Gazione, he should be involved a little bit, but he should not be making the final decisions. They make some stupid stuff.
Yeah. My quick input is that I feel like it's nice to have a player's coach, but you kind of need somebody to.
Like they're getting fed up about it. Like he used to be able to keep it quiet because we actually won and like had shots at Super
Our
Bowls,
team is
but
undisciplined and needs, you know, we need discipline. We need someone to get on our, like their butts on fire.
Yeah.
You know, get them to go.
Well, we talked about this in one of the previous podcasts. I can't remember which one it was, but like you have coaches that are good coordinators, right? And then you also have coaches that are leader of men. And like Mike Tomlin is a leader of men. Like that's just, I mean, you can tell by how those players love him. But the thing about being a leader is that you have to surround yourself with great coordinators. Tomlin hasn't done that in his career. Like and when you look at the offensive side of the ball, it's like, who's there? Like Bruce Arians was there. Right, they had Todd Haley, who was a good coordinator, even though him and Ben didn't mesh. Is like outside of that, they haven't had any
Arians.
good. Like I mentioned
Oh, yeah.
Arians, but like they have to bring in a coordinator with something fresh. Like they keep doing the same thing over and over again and hiring from within.
And what I think is going to help out, like obviously this is the only one that really comes to mind, is obviously Leftwich. But I think that's perfect for him because Leftwich knows who he is. He's played for him, and he knows what it's like to be a leader of men. He could do that and help out with them.
But they need to change
and
something.
He knows how to use people. He had Godwin, Evans, and
and Tom Brady.
Scotty Miller.
And Tom Brady.
But
they need to change something up bigger than just that. I think that they need to change up some of their old ways. Like the Steelers are one of the like classic teams in the NFL, right? Like they're stuck in the 70s with like play calling and scheme and different things like that. They need to bring some of that stuff into the new NFL. And like
plays, we don't add any fancy stuff to our playbook.
Yeah.
Or when we do a trick play, they just know it's coming right away because it's just so predictable.
I don't know.
Because like think about even run heavy teams, like what one of the run heaviest teams in the NFL is the San Francisco 49ers. Guess what? Their quarterback is in the MVP conversation. It's like even the teams with the greatest
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, like even the teams with the greatest run schemes still have other pieces. Like they still have other things that work.
That's another.
No, you go.
That was another issue. Is I feel like we're so determined to get the passing game going in Pittsburgh, but we're not like letting the running backs get enough touches, and we have a great duo this year. I feel like if we would have ran the ball more on Thursday night, that game could have been a different.
Tomlin, I will say this about Thursday night. Tomlin, that was bad.
I don't think we could have ran the ball better Thursday. I think New England's defense is actually playing at an elite level, and it's just not getting the attention.
Genuinely,
a backup quarterback. They're just trying to force.
Well, and the running game works. It's just a matter of the fact that like the defense knows what's coming because the passing game doesn't work.
Yeah.
So like they only have to stop one thing. And like the quarterback's just going to throw the ball incomplete, so it doesn't matter. Or throw it over the mountains on a 4th and 2 when you have Allen Robinson coming wide open.
So I don't blame all of last game on Trubisky either, but why would you go deep on a 4th and 2?
When Allen Robinson had a 5-yard gap.
Like I'm not gonna lie to you, that's where you go short. Like if that was like 3rd down and 2, I wouldn't have minded as much because 4th down, we have 4th down still, but. Like, because like on 3rd down that would have been bad because like it wasn't a bad throw.
As an outsider looking in, I just hear you guys talking. I think you guys are all spoiled, to be honest.
That's fair. That's
like,
true.
Like it's good that you guys are this concerned when you've had 500 seasons, and I get you're done with being mediocre. But like, it's not just going to be you fire Tomlin and you go on a dynasty run. Like maybe you win a playoff game or two, but even that every year is like teams just don't do that unless you're in a dynasty run.
I don't want Tomlin gone. Part of me, the only reason why I see him gone is if
like I think you guys. I think Pickett isn't the guy. And I think you are going through some tough time with your offensive coordinators, and there's a few down years. And in the few down years, you're 500, which again, it sucks that you're mediocre. But like teams just go through ruts. You're not gonna be able to win a playoff game every year. I know that you not winning a playoff game in a few years is different and isn't good, but I don't think it's necessarily that panicky. I think
I'm more mad that we're losing.
Like it's okay.
Our
it's not
best
that
players
bad.
are getting annoyed.
Yeah.
And mad. And
I don't know whose fault that is that you have a bunch of diva receivers, but it's obviously a recurring issue.
Yeah. And I don't think that I never called for Tomlin's job. Like obviously there's been ups and downs, but like I think that they need to change something up with the coordinators because like I mean it's like you said, it's like
I don't disagree that Canada sucks at calling plays.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that at all.
There's other problems. I get that for sure. But like the issue is that it's the same thing every single year, and there's never any adjustment to anything. They're just kind of expecting it to work because it's the Steeler way. But people talk about the Patriot way. It's like, oh, it's the Steelers way. But like something
they started 7-3,
something like that. But then what happens by the end of the season?
Like I know 7-3, like they didn't look pretty in that 7-3, and a lot of people would have like a couple years ago when they were undefeated teams, where people were like, "Oh, this is the worst undefeated team I've ever seen," but like they were still getting the work done. Like they were still 7-3 this year to start,
and then they went 1-4 to end the season, and ended up with.
And this year they're in a skid, but
yeah,
but I don't know.
I mean, people talk about one of the definitions of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, the same way, and expecting a different result. And I think that's where the Steelers are right now.
So what's the different result? Winning 2 playoff games?
Maybe it'd be better than what they're currently doing.
Or having a top 15 offense.
And I think people are like Steelers fans are hungry for something in the right direction, and they haven't seen something in the right direction in the last 5 seasons.
The past, like we should have been in a couple Super Bowls. The Patriots here, we lost to New England. That sucked because we thought we were going to be prepared
In the
for
regular
that.
season or in the
No,
playoffs?
playoffs. We had lost.
I
to
know if you're talking about the
championship.
Jesse James
The year
one.
we lost to the Jags, I think
was-
most likely we were going to the Super Bowl that year if we beat the Jags.
Just kind of.
And the other thing that sucks too is the year against Denver when we lost to Denver. Like we had injury issues. I didn't think we would win the Super Bowl, but was
love
that
that game
a
so
conference
much.
championship game too, or was that the divisional? It might have been divisional, but the player that the
Whether
team
you're
we-
talking about the Tebow one or the other one?
No,
I think that's conference championship.
You're talking
then.
about
it was
Peyton.
conference champion.
If it was Peyton, I think it was
We
conference.
had those two.
It wasn't.
It was divisional.
Okay, well then I think that the person we were playing conference championship, even though we had all those injuries, I kind of thought, oh, we might have a chance to
It was
beat
the
them.
Patriots. We didn't.
You're
Oh,
talking
it was
about
Patriots? Oh, yeah.
you're talking about the game where Peyton Manning slid feet first in the pocket, stood up and threw the ball, and they allowed him to do it.
Yeah.
He gave himself up
Fumble,
in the
the
pocket.
fumble that
I remember
costed
being
us
there.
the
That
game
was the
too.
best game ever.
Well, then, why do you guys think we always play down to our opponents? Like, why are we losing to bad teams? That's a recurring theme.
That's one
a
thing
preparedness thing.
That's just one thing where we just are like, it's easy week. Like, no, like
That's so.
you can't take it.
Horribly
To me,
irresponsible.
Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon's coaching them every week to win. They just don't have a good roster. They just fight and fight. Patriots, it's Belichick. Belichick doesn't want to lose, but I mean,
I believe it was Jalen Warren that said, like, we were not prepared for that game. The coaches, the staff didn't take the Cardinals seriously.
and that's one thing that's making me nervous about Tomlin. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like,
well, that's another reason I'm like, is that him? Just going, oh, we were going to worry about these guys.
Nah, I don't. I think.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
NFL.
we as people don't understand what goes in. Like,
Probably not.
it's almost like the discussion we had a couple weeks ago about like coaches. Like, we don't even understand like what's going on. I think coaches kind of try to cover for their players by saying like, oh, we overlooked them, but I really don't think that coaches ever overlook, especially in the NFL. College, you might plan ahead for a big rivalry game in the next couple of weeks. But
I think planning ahead is different than overlooking necessarily too.
but even in the NFL, I don't think teams are planning that, or like I don't think
The
Steelers are looking ahead
the
3
Steelers
weeks to-
actually have come out and said that they used to do that for the Patriots.
in regular season.
Yeah, because some people actually attribute that to the loss in Jacksonville because everything in Pittsburgh was going right that year. They had a top seed. They had a
In the
bye.
playoffs, they
we
did
had
that.
Yeah.
AB and
Oh,
Bell.
gosh,
back-
that's awful.
According to that was Le'Veon's last year playing. That was Juju's rookie year. AB's that was the last year of truly elite killer bee offense. It was Juju and James Conner's rookie year,
Alright,
and
that
people
would be
attributed
bad.
that.
Truly, the only two people who were good on the offense was Bell and Eli Rogers, and Eli Rogers knee went goodbye.
He had like 10 catches and then tore his ACL.
He was carrying the receiving squad. Like,
I love Eli Rogers.
He was a stud.
Any other final thoughts as far as that conversation goes? If not, I got one last bit to wrap it up. Dude.
I just blame him more. I like
I've said
Rooney.
all my
I
pieces
like
before.
I like Rooney. Rooney needs to be less in the decisions because I think that's what's making them stay in the Steelers old way too a little bit.
All right, to wrap it up, who's got the best cadence in the NFL?
Not Dak.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
So annoying.
I kind of like it.
No, it's annoying. Shut up.
You count
So
you count free agents. They're not on an NFL roster, but they're
Yeah.
still active.
Oh, I mean,
let's
even
hear
in the past too, like all
Peyton.
time.
It's an all time worst one, but Cam Newton's ready.
No, that's as bad as Dax.
It is. It's
I kind of like
it's
that.
bad.
I hate Dak so much.
I
It's
like
so
it.
annoying.
Rodgers-
You just hear
Rodgers
it
is-
over
You guys
and
are just
over again.
haters.
Rodgers
It's
is
Luke
so
and I are
annoying
on
when
the
I'm
same
watching
page.
TV and it's just all I hear.
Rodgers is
right,
good, but
here
I
we
get sick of
go.
Rodgers a lot because it's just.
How
I
about
just
Matt
hate
Ryan?
getting-
Matt Ryan is like, get sack, get fucking sack.
Yeah.
Gronk.
like
in the
this.
stands.
I'm not gonna. This is probably me more of me just become a Steelers fan, but Dilly Dilly was just funny because it was Big Ben being fat, beer belly. Dilly Dilly.
If
we're
we're
ta-
on football and that was a nothing, that meant nothing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say it.
If
I just feel like
we're
that's how
talking
Big
about
Ben
truly
thing.
like best from a football standpoint, I mean,
It is
Aaron
all time.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron
is
Rodgers
like
and
legend.
Yeah,
Omaha.
when he can get people to jump off like that, like
Yeah.
that's. I mean, it's a weapon at that point. It's not just a cadence; it's a weapon.
Is it
Honestly,
weird
I like
that I
that.
miss hearing Ben Roethlisberger's voice?
Oh yeah.
Is that weird?
Oh,
Is that weird?
You know what's crazy? How they.
That's not
Yeah, you know what's
What?
crazy?
that I miss hearing Ben Roethlisberger's voice.
Yeah, kind of.
Luke said it wasn't. So is it
Don't you
weird?
guys like watch his podcast though? Like,
Yeah, but it's different.
then that's weird.
remember, like Eli.
You're like, oh,
remember-
give me the cadence, Ben.
No.
Remember, like the Madden days where Peyton Manning like actually did Omaha and did all those crazy audibles, like the nice one. That was crazy. How just like we're like, what the hell is he doing?
That
And
was
we just
fun.
got like a deep.
Here's
ball
one.
on it.
Cam Newton's. Oh, you watch film? Yeah, watch this.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
It's
sick.
that
That's
wheel
cool.
route.
That's cool.
It's
Watch
that wheel route. Hey.
That's an interesting Hall of Fame case right there. Cam Newton, but also the guy who he was talking to, Clay Matthews.
Oh, he was talking.
We could have like a whole month of like Hall of Fame episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
That might
There's so
that
much
might
to
be
talk
in the
about.
vault. For
Well, we need to
future-
go through like do an offensive side, and then we need to do a defensive side, and like yeah. So
Sweet.
it's at
Kirk
least 2
Cousins' voice
episodes.
cracks.
What? That is too good.
Kirk.
Kirk
What was,
Cousins.
Wasn't there one of Brady like he's telling someone to get in the slot?
He told Gronk stand up.
No,
Yeah,
there was that one, and there's another one. He's told someone to get in the slot.
Well, Julian
Edelman.
Edelman has
They
yelled
Edelman
at
has
each
said in
other
the
all the
past
time.
that like hearing Brady like talk was always like so funny because he would like call everyone babe. So he's like, babe, come here, let's go, babe. Like,
Calls his son babe
I was
too.
about to say that. Dang it.
Best kissers in the
I
NFL. New audible. Got to be Tom Brady at the top of the list, you know.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Over under on how many times they show Taylor Swift next Chiefs home game.
We'll
Yikes.
see if she shows up.
Yeah.
They're gonna trade her out. They've been losing now. They're gonna trade her out for a new celebrity.
Romo did say it's his wife.
All right, you guys want to bring this home?
Let's do it.
Awesome. This has been the Second and Short podcast. We'll see you next week.